What's up? Let me guess, you're a dropshipper, you were making money once, you can't do it again, or you've never had a winner before, you've never made sales before. Well, this video is going to fix all of it, because after watching this video, you will know exactly what ad strategy to use, how exactly to structure your ads, what system to follow, and how to do it again once it works. And this is a repeatable process that I've been repeating on students like this, and all of these. Now, how long you're able to watch this video without clicking off, without checking the comments, whatever, just tells me how successful you're going to be. Because at the end of the day, if you can't sit down and focus for 20-30 minutes, then how do you expect to build something great? So before the first step, you should have an offer split test on your website, because the offer can't or must not be the reason why this structure right here fails. And second of all, you should know exactly who your target customer is. All right, so before we get into this, this is like a step 0. You have to actually set up a split test and actually figure out who your target audience is, your customer avatar. Now, I have other videos about that on my channel, but it's really important that you figure out exactly who you sell to. Now, how can you find that out? Very easily. You can call your customers. You can call them, you can send out post-purchase surveys, or you can just do the research if you don't have any customers yet, okay? But I prefer calling up customers, and that's what I do again and again and again. And yes, if you have if you're dropshipping, you probably will have some negative responses because there's going to be some unhappy customers. That's just part of the game, okay? It's a volume game, it's a numbers game, and the more customers you call, the very first thing that comes to their mind when you ask them, why did you buy our product, that's usually the core desire or reason why exactly they bought it in the first place. All right, so keep that in mind. And now actually let's get into the first step, what you're going to do. So once you have your specific angle and your specific target customer in mind, it's very easy to come up with a bunch of very, very specific hooks to write to them. And so what I want you to do is open up a Google Doc and write down as many hooks as you possibly can, okay? 30, 50, 100 different hooks, right? Only one line. This is not supposed to be anything crazy. This is just one-liners, like hooks specifically just, on a Google Doc, nothing else, okay? You can structure them into different ad groups, into different concepts. If you want to, you can just, also just throw there 100 different hooks. You can AI this, but keep in mind, if you use AI for this, then definitely feed the AI with the right information. What does that mean? So give the AI the customer avatar, your previous winning hooks if you've had any, or the winning hooks of your competitors, and then tell the AI what exactly to do and how to structure these hooks. Because if you don't do that, if you just go to ChatGPT and say write 20 hooks for this product, it's not going to work, and your hit rates are going to be terrible. And it's not. This is the reason. Honestly, you just need to put in more work. Honestly, you just need to feed the AI with the right information. That is actually good. And then this is already where the first creative test happens. Because what do? Well, we just make blank image ads which look exactly like this with only the hook on it. So I want you to open up Canva, open up a 1x1 800 times 800 pixel design, and just write your hook in there, okay? So you make designs. They make, let's say you have 100 hooks, you make 100 of these image ads, okay? So white background, black text on it, nothing else, not even a product picture or whatever, nothing, okay? It's just blank image ads with nothing on there but the hook, and then you export them, export, and you have a whole folder with a bunch of different hooks only right there. And the point of this very first creative test is just to figure out which hooks are going to work and which hooks aren't, right? Because at the end of the day, if you just now were to immediately test video ads with, like, let's say you test 15 video ads, then you, first of all, limit your success to 15 hooks instead of 100, right? Second, so what does that mean? Your hit rates are going to be so much lower, right? Extremely low. And second of all, you have to test each hook, each ad with a lot more higher budget, because on this, what you're going to do is only spend like $2 to $3 on each image, right? And once each image spent like $2 to $3, you just turn it off. You aggressively turn it off. You're not looking for sales here. I'm gonna tell you what you'll look for in a second, but keep in mind this creative test right here is only there, right? The only sole purpose of this creative test is so that you find winning hooks, right? Find winning concepts. You just want to find outliers. And so this brings me to step number 2, is you have to focus on the outliers in terms of your cost per click, and right, cost per link click, obviously. So keep in mind the only thing you're looking for here is the lowest CPCs and the highest click-through rates, right? This is what you're looking for. You're not looking for buying intent, right? This is really important. And in fact, like most people think, okay, if you get buying intent, it's a good thing here. However, it means something. If you get buying intent on an ad like this, that means, that's not bad. Like, it means people are resonating with it, but it means the hook is extremely aware. Like, if it only needs one line of text to convert someone, imagine, does that, ad speak to unaware people? Probably not. Okay, so this is really important. I would say the best outcome in this creative test is if you get like an ad with a 20-cent CPC, right, and no add to carts. Why? Because it means, okay, it's not enough for those people to actually convert, but it's very, 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 very low, cheap traffic. All right. And that's what you want. You want low price, cheap traffic, and that's exactly what you're looking for. That's all you're looking for. You want to look for outliers, and the goal is to find outliers for unaware or problem-aware people. Those are people who don't buy from something like this, and you just send the traffic to your product page. You don't make an advertorial or a listicle or anything like that yet. You just want to see which of these hooks is going to give you the cheapest traffic, and then we're gonna do stuff with that later on in this video. I'm going to explain to you what exactly the decisions are I would make. However, right, if you haven't found any outliers from this creative test, it just means you haven't tested it with a high enough volume. It's as simple as that, right? If you don't have anything which is like below 50-cent CPC here, then it's just a volume problem. It doesn't matter if you run ads to the US. It doesn't matter if your CPMs are extremely high. The only worst outcome in this is that you don't have anything below like 50 or 60-cent CPC, and then you just need to do a retest with more hooks, with better hooks, right? More, better, new, different concepts, whatever. Be creative and not only ChatGPT everything. Use your own mind for this, right? Use real people, or hire a creative strategist or whatever, but actually have someone help you do this, or just do it on your own, but actually put in the work. And that's when you find these outliers, because it's really not hard to find something right here, right? This is the easy part of the process. It doesn't take a lot of skills to set up these image ads. Obviously, that's not even, that doesn't even have to do anything with graphic design. And also, like, the writing part, I mean, if you have your target customer in mind, just put yourself into their shoes and think about what types of hooks would they resonate with. Of course, it helps if you've had winning hooks before, if you know what to look for. It's not necessary though, and most people kind of overstress this. Just write it down. This is quantity over quality. I promise you just want to write down a bunch of different hooks. Okay, so once we have some outliers, the only thing that we're going to do is we're going to take that image ad and just turn it into a video ad. So we're actually going to now test visual hooks, right? And I'm talking mostly about hooks in this video. Why? Because the hook is 80% of your success, right? If your ad has a terrible hook, a bad hook rate, it's not going to scale. Okay, as simple as that. And if it has a great hook and everything else is terrible, it's still going to work. Okay, so I want you to focus on the biggest needle movers. I want you to focus on the highest leverage things from now on, because those are the things that actually are going to make you the most amount of money for your time, and everything else is just not worth your time if you're not making money right now. Which means if you focus on the best call to action or the best body right now, it doesn't make a big difference. Your hook and your offer are pretty much the only thing that you should be focusing on if you don't make money with e-com. I promise you. Offer, hook. Okay, so we're just going to take our winning hooks, our outliers here, ideally the ones which don't have buying intent, because that means they're speaking to a little bit more unaware people, which is a great thing. And then what you do is you turn it into a video ad. So let's say you source some content, right? Let's say you get some UGC or just rip content, honestly, in the beginning. It doesn't really matter. Point is, you put your hook in there in different styles. So what styles do you have? You have text, right? So you just write your text hook on there. Very simple, works, right? AI voices, right? AI voiceovers, and or just like UGC creators actually, if you source it like for real, just speak into the camera. That's the most powerful way to do that, right? And you can like use multiple of these. You can have all three. You can have it in form of text. You can have it in form of like, the UGC creator. You can combine these and actually makes the stuff even more powerful, because the hook that you put in here, like the outliers, you have to keep in mind. If you find outliers, it means that the hook rates on these ads are going to be pretty good. Now, obviously, the hook doesn't only come down to the actual content, which is what we test here, but also the visual and the sound, right? So this is what we're testing now. We're testing different songs. We're testing different, different visuals. And at the end of the day, what we're looking for once again is only the best hook rates, the best, obviously the best CPCs. And now we're actually starting to look for buying intent. Okay, even though this is still not going to be the actual thing where we speak to unaware people, basically, it's still already what we're kind of starting to look for is add to carts and sales, right? So if we have something here in this step number 3, which is which has a decent ROAS, we just take it and then actually work with that instead of the best CPC one. Okay, so this is kind of where you switch your goal or what you look for, right? Again, if you don't have anything which is better performing than these image ads right here, you do another creative test, and then once again you don't go to the next step, but you actually keep this in mind and make this work. You iterate it, right? This is in the whole process of creatives. This is the key word that I want you to remember in this video: iterations. Iterate. Okay, it's really important that you start from now on taking the stuff that you tested, taking the best one, doubling down and testing stuff that is closer to that, because e-com is a game of testing, and especially creatives, you can't just throw something at the wall and see what sticks. You have to have a system behind it, and the whole entire system behind it is just testing, step by step, and just going ahead and testing stuff until it works, not moving on to the next step. And so let's say you are here and you have something now which is actually performing better in terms of buying intent, in terms of CPC, than the best image ad that you tested, right? Perfect. That's optimal. Okay, so now you're actually qualified to move on to step number 4. What is step number 4? Now, what you see here, right? Specific call out, unique mechanism, offer drop versus testimonials, risk reversal, authority. These are disqualifiers. And essentially, these are variables each that you can put into your ads that disqualify a bunch of people but qualify a selected few and make them more aware, right? So what does this mean? So we're just going to take a look at the metrics of our video ads, of the top performing ones, and see where it lacks. And so there's pretty much only 2 variables where an ad can lack, right? There's first of all the CPC, or the CTR and all that kind of stuff, right? And there's the conversion rate, because sometimes you will have ads that have super cheap clicks but no conversions at all, right? No add to carts, terrible add to cart rate, doesn't scale. Same thing the other way around. Sometimes they have a really good conversion rate but just a really high CPC, right? It's just not scalable. You just don't get cheap enough traffic. And so you just look at the metrics and just see where your ad failed. Now, realistically, what's going to happen if you follow the structure so far, it's going to be option 1, cheap CPCs but no sales. Okay, so what exactly do we do in that case? If this happens to you, what I want you to do is think about, okay, just look at the metrics again and just see how much do you actually need to increase conversion rate, right? So if it's not getting any sales at all, not getting any add to carts at all, then I want you to move or to position yourself in this side of this equation. I want you to add in specific callouts, unique mechanisms, and an offer drop. Okay, what is a specific callout? Well, first of all, it means just talking to a very specific, small, narrowed down audience on your creatives in the very beginning, in the hook, right? So for example, what you could do is you could take your line, your best performing hook, and just say, if you're let's say you're selling something for for shoulder pain or whatever, right? You could say men over 45 and then hook. Okay. What that does is most people that are not men over 45 who would have been interested in the product are now uninterested, not going to watch the ad, are going to keep scrolling. However, the men over 45 are going to be much more warmed up and they're going to feel like this ad is tailor-made for them. What does that mean? The actual men over 45 that see that video and just resonated, the exact same as they would have resonated before, they're going to now click much higher, with a much higher percentage, right? Higher click-through rate in that specific target demo that you want to reach, and they're going to spend much more money, right? So this is a direct response element, a specific call out. This is a disqualifier, which means it's going to decrease CTR, it's going to increase CPC, but it's going to massively increase the conversion rate. And the point is the trade-off between higher CPC and much higher CTR, conversion rate, is exactly what you look for, right? So this is these things work. Why? Because this is sometimes when you have a 20-cent CPC and you increase it to 50, but the conversion rate triples or quadruples, 4x's. It's a trade-off that makes sense to make. Okay, so this is exactly what I would do. Now, second thing is unique mechanisms. So What is a unique mechanism? Very quickly, it's two different parts of your ad that you can actually add in. First of all, the unique mechanism of your problem, where you talk shit on other solutions, and then the unique mechanisms on your solution, right? So why exactly? So present your product, your solution to a problem as something new, as something special, as something which has been trusted. Create fear of missing out. And then the unique mechanism of the problem is just telling the prospect, which is watching the ad, exactly why the solution is bad, right? So the other solutions, what other people are selling, just basically explain why they're bad, pretty much, right? You don't have to tell them directly. You can do this pretty smartly. You can like just say, hey, I tried this and that, and it didn't work. Okay, so this is a very easy thing you can do. Again, unique mechanism are a very hard disqualifier because a lot of people are not going to resonate with it, but the selected few that keep watching the ad, exactly, that's who we're making it for, because they're going to be much more engaged. And then the last and not least thing is the offer drop. Obviously, this is a very, very strong disqualifier because most people are never going to, resonate with your offer. Ask yourself, what is the industry average conversion rate on your store? It's about 2%, 3%, maybe if you're good, 5%. But even 5% means 95% of people don't buy because of your offer, right? Even though it's considered a good conversion rate. So if you put your offer into your ad, again, 95% of people are not going to resonate with it. What does this mean? CTR is going to go massively down, CPC is going to go up massively, but the conversion rate skyrockets. Why? Because people who watch the ad and the offer is in the ad and they still click through, they already know that they're going to buy, right? Technically, that would have to be 100% conversion rate. Not going to happen, but it's a very, very strong disqualifier that I would definitely do if, you're in the case of your CPCs super low and you're not getting any traffic. You're not getting any, purchases. They're just curiosity clicks, not worth it. Now, the other side of the equation here, testimonials, risk reversal, authority, these are soft disqualifiers, I would say. So what does this mean? Now, when it comes to disqualifiers, you need to keep in mind that sometimes you will have, like, let's say 80 cents or $1 CPCs. So your CPCs are already, decent. They're not extremely low, they're not extremely high, but sometimes you will still have not enough buying intent. And so there's this soft disqualifiers that, a little bit, that are going to basically increase CPCs a little bit, but then still, the trade-off between higher conversion rate is still going to be, much better. So what are these? Testimonials. If you just put testimonials in your ad, it's going to resonate with a bunch of people. It's going to qualify them, right? So these are like more qualifiers than disqualifiers, right? Because they just warm up the people that are watching. Of course, you're going to have an increase in CPCs, decrease of CTRs. However, it's a positive trade-off, and I would always make it. This is just the softer version of this side of the equation, right? Second thing is risk reversals, right? So I'm pretty sure you have a guarantee in your offer. Flex it. Flex your guarantee as much as possible. If there's one thing which people love, it's guarantees. And authority. Okay, so you could have an influencer speaking about it, you could have a doctor speaking about your solution, whatever, some sort of authority, some figure that people actually trust, because if they trust them, they're going to trust you as the brand, and it's going to increase conversion rate as well, right? And so this is step number 4 right here. You just essentially increase CPC, but you massively increase the conversion rate, right? It's this trade-off that you make. And I want you to, from now on, not think, oh, lower CPC means better. It doesn't, okay? It does not mean that. The only thing that really matters is your ROAS, and you will have ads that have high CPCs but a very high conversion rate, right? And you will also have ads who are, just don't convert at all but have a 10-cent CPC, and it doesn't mean that that's a better ad at all, not even close to that. So this is the mindset shift that I want you to have in this video. And then step number 5 is just basically taking the concept, taking the exact ads that you have right now. So this is like when you do another creative test, and then you just iterate it until it works. So you check how it's doing. You test the creatives. You look at every metric, which is the hook rates, the hold rates. You check the CPCs, you check the conversion rate, all these things, and you see, okay, what's the ROAS right now, right? And then you look at the equation and you iterate and you make variations and make the stuff better step by step by step. So this is the second mindset shift that I want you to have. Every concept that you test, every product that you test can be profitable. It just comes down to how many creative tests, how many rounds of iterations will it take until I'm there, okay? So it's sometimes it will take you like 20 to 30 to 50 creative tests until a specific product is profitable. But trust me, if you actually put in the right amount of research, of work and volume and iterations, you can make a fidget spinner work. And so I want you to from now on not think, oh, it's my product, oh, it's this, it's my ad account, because you have to stop blaming things that are not in your control, right? This is the most important thing about business. Everything is like kind of your fault and you can control everything. But the second that you start, oh, this is my product, I don't know what products to look for. The second that you do that, you also put the power there and you don't even have the control technically over your own success, and you never want to be in that situation. And it's not about the product that you sell, it's about the content that you've used, it's about the actual it's about the actual hook, it's about the actual direct response variables. You have to learn marketing. I want you to from now on not learn drop shipping or anything like that. What you're doing is selling. Learn sales, learn marketing. These are the core fundamentals that you need in any business model, especially e-commerce. They're just, people are just kind of, this brain rot drop shipping thing is just like not talking about it at all. But all these marketing fundamentals, and I promise you, if you do learn these, if you do take the time and actually put in the hours, put in the reps to learn these fundamentals, it will be exponentially worth it. And if you ask yourself, what's the first step to do after this video? It's actually figuring out who your perfect customer is, right? So step number 0, like I just said, if you haven't understood something in this video, go back or write it into the comments. I'm going to answer the comments in this video and try to just figure out like what step am I here at that I skipped, that I didn't understand, that I didn't know, and then just put it into your ads. So for example, if you've never tested hooks with image ads, right, at first, before actually turning them into videos, this is your chance, this is your sign to do it, right? Second thing, if you've never if you've never, put in these things, which is really important, right? Now you know that the lowest CPC ads are not the best at all, okay? So these are the things that I want you to focus on. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If I could help you somehow, let me know. Again, write your main takeaway into the comments. Thank you so much for giving me your most important asset so far, for your time and your attention. And yeah, I wish you a beautiful day.